Hey everybody, this is Kristen, the youth minister at First Central Presbyterian Church, just in case you don't know who I am. Most of you should at this point. We've probably met. So I really want to have a parent meeting, but that's hard to do this time of year with all the things going on. And so what I'm going to do is make this video. I will try to make it as short as possible to describe some changes that are going on and some ways that I need your help. But where I'm going to start is I'm just going to list the new guidelines that we're going to have I'm instituting right now, new guidelines, and then I'm going to go back and explain them because I want you to hear what they are first so that you can easily relay. So if you don't have time to watch the whole thing right now, you can at least know the changes that are being made, and then come back and watch the rest of the video later if you need the time. So we're going to start off with some rules or guidelines that we're gonna change. So they're in two categories. One is Sunday morning and one is evening activities. So the first category has 3 rules associated with it, 3 new guidelines. So the first is if we're going to be at church on Sunday mornings, like if we're going to be inside the church building, youth members will go to the worship service. We haven't been doing that well. And so no sitting in the foyer, no trying to follow Jacob Mata around while he's doing his security responsibilities as one of the deacons. That's been hard on him because he tells people to leave and they don't leave and they follow him and all those sorts of things. So we're letting Jacob do his responsibility that he's been called to do by the church, okay? That's one. Number 2 is when we are in the worship service, because that's what we're gonna do now, we will be sitting with a parent or a guardian or an adult to which a person is assigned. So maybe this could be something that a parent, if you feel so led to volunteer as like a surrogate parent for a kid whose guardian or parent doesn't come to the worship service with them. We have a couple that happens with on occasion. It will be that we're sitting with parents and guardians and we are not sitting by another member of the youth. We will have like another adult in between them or whatever, but we need to start developing some worship skills, and the temptation of chit-chatting and being on our phone and getting up and going to the bathroom 18 times during the worship service. That's a little too hard right now, and so we're going to remove that temptation element by sitting with our parents for at least 3 weeks. This Sunday, we're not having any youth activities the next Sunday because of the retreat, the spring retreat, and then 2 more weeks after that. So it's really more like 4 weeks of sitting with parents. Forever going to the worship service, but 4 weeks of sitting with parents or guardians or an assigned adult. And I will not be the assigned adult, Emily will not be the assigned adult, and Jacob Mata will not be the assigned adult. It will be an actual parent or an actual guardian or some other member of the church that has volunteered to do so. So that's a start. The last piece of this puzzle is church is so voluntary. Like coming and being at the church building is a volunteer thing. And if a youth member has no intention, they want to be at Sunday school and they want to participate in the Sunday school lesson and they want to hang out for a little while, more than welcome. Please come do that. But if there's no intention or interest in coming to the worship service, I hope that'll change and I hope we'll try. But if we really don't and refuse to do that, we need to be dropped off before Sunday school and we need to be picked up after and go home. There's safety concerns with wandering around the church that have come to light. And so we really have to have everybody where they're supposed to be, which is the worship service. So we're not worried about people wandering into the church building and finding kids and getting ourselves in trouble breaking things because we were in a room that we shouldn't have been in, or it just removes a whole slew of problems and concerns for them and for you. I know you don't want that for your kids. So we will be in the worship service. If we're not going to be in the worship service, we will not come, or we will go home and not be in the building. And then finally, we will sit with parents and guardians when we are in the worship service for at least 4 weeks, just to set our palate reset everything and give ourselves a chance to develop some good habits, which will be nice, I think. And I think will actually be kind of fun at the end of the day. So that's guidelines part 1. Guidelines part 2 is for Sunday and Wednesday nights, the evening stuff. And it's only one, it's 2 things. If a youth member cannot see an adult, so if they walk into the building, the goal is to find an adult, to find me, to find Emily, to find Jacob, or the on-duty parent. That is the goal. Go find an adult and be in the room where they are. We will go there. We will not go to the bathroom first. We won't go to get a drink of water first. The first thing we do when we walk in the door is we go find an adult and we make our presence known. That is the thing. And then from the rest of the evening, we don't go somewhere if we don't know an adult is already there. So if we're transitioning down to the gym, no one goes to the gym until I get there, Emily gets there, Jacob gets there, or the on-duty parent. We just don't. We don't go to the bathroom. We're going to have to, this kind of stinks, but this is something that's important right now that will hopefully be relaxed on. This will definitely be one of the first things that I'll relax on once I feel like we've developed some good habits of behavior, is going to the bathroom. We tend to go in groups, or when we go, we decide not to come back because we're in a group, and we decide that we're going to go somewhere else. And so we're just going to be going, we'll have to ask anytime in the evening, at any point, if a youth member needs to go to the restroom, we need to ask. I've been very free and open with some of that stuff unless it's a lesson time, and we just need to rein it in a little bit. It's just not going well. And so no group bathroom situations, and I will know, and I'll be paying attention, or Jacob or Emily or the on-duty parent will be paying attention to how long one is in the restroom. Same thing for like going to the kitchen to get a snack. We need to know, and don't go if there's not already an adult there. You ask, and maybe an adult will escort you, or 2 adults will escort you, or you and a friend maybe, to go get a cup of ice from the kitchen or something like that. We need to be in the eyes of adults more often than we are, because we tend to make not very good decisions when we don't think we're being immediately monitored. And most of the time we are, we just don't quite know it. So that is the rules section of this thing. And I'm going to switch to explanations of these things and my hopes. So this is all couched in, what I try to do and what I believe my calling is, and my job is to help walk alongside these young people, your young people, my young people, as we grow, and as we mature in our faith, and as we mature in our relationships. The whole goal, and what we're taught about how this whole faith thing works, is by the more that we are in relationship with God, the more we are transformed into godly people. And where we're getting right now is we've been a little stagnant lately in growth, and if not some regression back a little bit into some immature behavior. And so and that's all to be understood, and there's plenty of grace for it, but I do think it has hit a point where I need to make some slight tweaks to foster more opportunities for personal growth and transformation, and just growth together as a group. We learn how to be the kingdom of heaven together. We practice that as a group, and I'm trying to provide more opportunities to do that. So the way I'm doing that is a removal of temptation. We tend to be an escalating group and not a de-escalating group. So when one of us gets upset, another one gets upset, and it just heightens, and all of a sudden we're throwing plastic pumpkins around the room, or we're swinging pool sticks at each other, or we're yelling, or we're shoving, and normally it's taken care of pretty quickly. It needs to not happen. Like we need to not get to those points where we need to be a de-escalating group. When something starts to feel like it's getting a little too intense, we need to have, as a group, the skills of, oh, hey, let's back out. Let's take a step back. Let's get out of here. Let's take a breather. You go to your corner, I'll go to mine. We need to develop some of those skills. And I think the best way to do that, one, I think it happens less when we're not wandering around and trying to get away from adult supervision, which is something we try to do a fair amount. We're better off. We make better decisions in rooms with adults. We just do. Our youth do. And so that's one piece. The other piece, that's a removal of temptation. I'm removing temptation from the situation. And then if they're not running away from me and doing this stuff, but being in the same space with me or with Emily or Jacob or with the parent on duty, we have an opportunity to engage and to help and to say, okay, what just happened here? Why did it get to this point? So how do we help y'all mend this or get over this? Or how do we help y'all move forward to where we can actually engage in when we do have conflicts or when we do kind of get crazy or we do make some silly decisions because we don't quite think through what we're doing. We just think it'll be funny or fun when it's really more destructive or, destructive. That we can actually have the opportunity to engage in it rather than coming up on it when it's ending or coming up on it because, oh goodness, I was talking with this kid and 3 kids wandered out of the room because they wanted to go have a private conversation, and that private conversation escalated, and now nobody knows what happened because they weren't in a space where I could engage. So the tightening up of where we are and who can see us when we're in the building, I think is very important, and I need y'all's help. So early on, I had a sign-up sheet for parent supervision, and we filled up the whole first semester. We didn't really get into the spring. Some people committed to spring dates because they just said, I'm always going to do the first Wednesday of the month. That's just what I'm going to do. And that's great, but we are missing quite a few spaces, and I need people to start signing up again, and so I'll be sending that out for supervision stuff. When it comes to the worship service, we're just, one of the drawbacks and the good things, I guess, about our group is that we like each other. We think we're fun. We like talking and we like hanging out, and we have a stinking good time together as a group. And that's positive. It's negative when we make those choices to say, so worship is a skill. It's something we have to participate in. God does call us into it first. We are compelled into worship by God, but sometimes we have to do a little bit of work to get ourselves focused to, oh, a sermon's happening. I'm going to actually try to listen. Listening is an activity. It's not just something that washes over you and it happens. We have to try, and we just don't do that well. And we would, in that, because it takes a little bit of work and it's not super entertainment oriented, what we do on Sunday mornings, we would rather sit outside in the foyer, or we'd rather wander around the church. And though I'm empathetic for those things, I remember what that was like. I was pushed to pay attention by my parents, by my youth ministers. And so I think it's time for me to push a little bit. And I think it's time for us as a community to push our young people to that next phase of maturity when it comes to worship and worship participation. And I think they're ready. They just haven't been, they're not going to do it without a push. So that's where we're at, is we're providing that push. And so I need your enforcement of that, especially with sitting with parents. I'm hoping it's not longer than 4 weeks, but if we're really struggling, it might have to extend to 4 weeks, or it may only be specific kids. So if there are kids that really can't seem to sit with the group and make good decisions, and they start dragging other people into poor decisions, they will have a longer stint sitting with their family, so that we know when we sit together as a group, it's a privilege that we can't abuse. And I think that will be really good. And I think we can all agree that these are really positive changes that can provide really interesting, unique opportunities for engagement and relationship development. I'm excited about them. I think the kids are going to need a little bit more of a sell on it. They're going to feel like these are really punitive. And in some ways they are, and in some ways they're not. It's about reaching some goals and providing opportunities and loving them the best way that I think I can. And one of the ways I feel called to love young people through the love of Christ is to help them grow, to give them the opportunities and to model those things, as well as to talk it out with them and have those conversations. And that'll provide these new changes will provide that. So I need parental volunteers really badly, very, 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 very badly. Parental participation. I would love for it to be 2 parents a night. I really would. Because if it were 2 parents a night, then I could make sure that there's a parent in the gym and a parent upstairs. There's a rule at camp that we call 2 deep. And in any situation with the kid, if you're taking a kid off to the side because you need to have a little disciplinary discussion, or someone's crying and they're upset, you really should have 2 adults, or at least 1 adult and then another adult watching the interaction. It's for the safety of the child, it's for the safety of the adult. And I would adore having 2 parents, because it really would, it would produce more relational engagement, obviously, but it would also make it to where I felt like we were following some basic guidelines of intelligent ways of working with young people to protect ourselves as well as to protect them. So I'm going to put that list out there. I'm going to put 2 parent spaces each week. You can work, if you are married, you can work it with your spouse. If you've got a buddy that you're friends with and you really want to work with a friend, you can invite a friend. Yeah, I think it'll be good. Having 2 adults every single meeting. And something I'm going to throw out there, if you feel led, like you really want to teach something, especially Sunday school, I need some Sunday school help. I always need Sunday school help. I'm also in charge of another Sunday school class, which has stretched me. And because I've been stretched, I can see how, it's not stretch. I guess what I mean by it is I can't physically be 2 places at once. It makes it to where whatever group I'm not with is suffering in some way. And I would really love for those groups, for it to not feel like some sort of disservice or something to them, that our church is growing. And I think if you like to be around kids, if you have a passion about teaching and you feel like you would like to help with Sunday school, reach out to me and we'll discuss the possibility of that, and maybe do a teacher rotation, something like that. I'd be really into that, really excited about that opportunity. So that's the end of the video. It went longer than I wanted, but it's better than if we would have all had to get in a room and have this meeting, right? Hopefully that means it's shorter. So if you have any questions, concerns, ideas about things that you think would be like fun games or fun activities, or suggestions about, say you're a teacher or you work with young people all the time and you've had some similar issues with decision making with young people and you want to hash it out and brainstorm with me, I'm all ears. I love these kids. I love this job. It's the best job in the world with the best kids in the world. And I do this out of joy, especially even this like meeting or video. I think this is a cool opportunity that I get to have, and I'm very thankful that you allow me to work in your kids' lives. And I'm excited about Mo Ranch in a couple of weeks, and I'm excited, not a couple of weeks, 1 week. Oh, we'll be in Mo Ranch next week. And I'm excited about continuing relationships with you and our youth. God bless, and yeah, contact me if you have any questions.